Yo, yo, what up everyone? So thrilled that you're joining us. The conference was amazing. If you're new to Sensiphy, incredible to have you here. If you were part of the WTF Should I Do With My Life conference, just beyond excited with how that turned out. And it's been one of the most incredible weeks and accomplishments of my life. So I want to give you two big takeaways that you can use for, one, creating your ideal life and how much you allow yourself to think about what's possible with your life, and then for when you start to actually do that, one of the pitfalls that you'll face and how to deal with that, and a tool that you can use in the moment to navigate the challenge of, holy crap, life is really good right now, does it deserve to be this good? What do I do? Because we all sabotage ourselves with this little sneaky thing that happens. So let me rewind. Last Monday, pretty much about a week ago, the conference is in full mode, 14 months of work. I'm pouring my heart and my soul and my passion and everything into it, just ups and downs, and an incredible, incredible experience for me. And it launches, and we've got 7,000 people on board, and I am in the car, I'm driving on my way to get a haircut, and I'm just on top of the world. You know, I'm loving life. I'm on the highway, I've got the sunroof open, I'm bumping Macklemore, my hand is out the sunroof, I'm driving like a moron, and life is just great, you know? Like, it was one of those peak experiences of, like, you imagine interviewing 30 of your heroes about the things that you're most passionate about, and then delivering that to 7,000 people who are, like, specifically interested in those subjects and those challenges, and I'm just at an all-time high, you know, as good as it gets. And in this moment, all of a sudden, I hand out the window, I'm loving life, and all of a sudden, in this moment, I have this thought of, but what about all the starving, dying kids who are in pain in all these third world countries, and what about all the deaths that are happening in this moment in the world right now? What about all that stuff? Can I be so ignorant to ignore that there's all this pain and misery in the world while I'm here singing to some song on a highway acting like a moron because I'm at an all-time high? And luckily, I have a tool for dealing with that. And this is some of the things that we talk about in coaching, is how to have tools to empower yourself to, when you find yourself in very normal situations like this that don't seem normal, how do you deal with it? So there's a great way to deal with this. Brene Brown talks about it, and I watched her in person give a speech about it, where when life is going so good, there's this little part of our defense mechanism brain that says, can it really be this good? And then it imagines the worst. And the reason that we are conditioned to imagine the worst is that we don't want the worst to get over on us. So we want to be prepared for, yeah, I knew that was going to happen, but I knew there was all that suffering, but I knew there was all that misery, but I knew my life couldn't be this good for this long and stay at this moment. Am I going to crash the car? Am I going to get to the haircut place and they're going to stick me up with a gun and take my money because it's in the hood? All the things that, you know, could possibly happen, there's that little thing in there. And the antidote, the way that you deal with this, it's really simple, it's really straightforward. When life feels like it's too good and you catch yourself in that moment having this incredible experience and then this negative thought pops in, the way to deal with it, based on her research, gratitude. So it's, how can I be really thankful for this moment right now? How do I deal with that? So I had that, you know, luckily I was able to take that experience and take it from 30 seconds of being in my head and not let it ruin my entire, you know, day or week or whatever it was and all this work I put into it. Luckily, I had the tool to then just say, let me be so grateful, let me stop driving like a complete moron right now, let me be a little bit more grateful and just like honor and appreciate where I am. So when you're figuring out, you know, when you're having a moment in your life where things are just going so great and then all of a sudden there's this little self-sabotaging, like, but it can't stay this good for long, or it's only going to last a little while, or who am I? I'm a spoiled, you know, Generation Y, entitled, privileged bastard. At that point, gratitude is the antidote to that ruining your situation. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to offer you that I'm realizing, as we've had 12 people apply to do coaching in the last 10 days. 12 freaking people. That is incredible. So one of the things I'm realizing as I talk to these people and current clients that I have is I want you to give yourself the permission to think about what your ideal life looks like if there was zero attachment to you actually having to create that life. Most people don't give themselves the permission to think about what their best life would actually look like, because either one, it will scare them, two, they'll feel obligated to do something about it, or three, they're just not conditioned to allow themselves to think about how awesome could my life possibly be. And that's such a huge thing. You got to give yourself permission to ask the big questions of, what do I love to do so much that I would pay to do it every single day? Then how can I get paid to do that? If I had all the time and all the money in the world, what would I do? What one great thing would I dare to dream if I knew I couldn't fail? And you got to just remove any attachment that you have to then actually having to do those things, and just treat it like a freaking brainstorm. Let it out. Come up with stupid answers, wrong answers, things that don't make sense. You want to go to the moon? Cool, go to the moon. Whatever it is, just allow yourself that process of reconstructing reality. You know, I was at a friend's house the other day and we were watching one of the playoff games, and one of his other friends was there, and he's like, "Hey Jacob, didn't you just come back from Hawaii? How long were you there for?" And I said, "Yeah, I was there for 5 weeks." And he said, where were you before that? Didn't you just come back from Japan?" And I said, "Yeah, I went with my dad. That was in December." Now, I didn't even mention that I was just in Europe and Amsterdam and England and none of that. And then my other friend said, "I thought that you met your dad in somewhere else. I thought you met your dad in Asia." And I said, no. He said, "I thought you met your dad on your way to Bali in Asia." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was in Bangkok. That was earlier in the year on my way from California." Now you got to imagine, I'm in a room full of like 6 people who don't live this lifestyle, right? This is not the norm. So for them to hear that 5 weeks in Hawaii, Bali, Thailand, Japan, all these places, I felt like such a snob. I felt like such a travel snob. You know, like, it's just not people's reality. And I wanted you to have permission as you watch this and you've listened to the conference, you have the interviews, you're rocking it, and you're starting to allow yourself to imagine what your ideal life looks like. Use mine as an example. What part of my life do you love? Because to me, 3.5 years ago, this was so unrealistic, you know? So allow yourself to look at other people, their life, what your life could be like, and give yourself permission over a long period of time to create the life that you want and to first get clear on it. And as you do that, remember gratitude, because you're going to have really good days and then really good moments, and we want to make sure that you have that little gratitude tool for when the self-sabotage happens. Do I really deserve this? Am I really good enough? Can I actually sustain this? Boom, gratitude. How can I be thankful for what I have? So drop a comment below. If you enjoyed the conference, would love to hear a little bit of feedback in the comments below. Maybe one of your favorite interviews or what one of your biggest takeaways were.